So, for you this morning, I'm going to do a couple of things. The slides are not important. I will be the presentation. That's just something to look at when you get bored, okay? So let's make a contract. Okay, a contract is important. I like to first start out with a contract between presenter and audience. Let's see if we can agree to these things, all right? Now, the contract is important. I will present, and you will participate, okay? The contract is simple, but it's also important because if you participate, I am much funnier and easier to listen to, and I will let you out for lunch on time, okay? So can we agree on that? Okay, so what can I do for you here today? I have a list of things. I'm going to ask you to look around someone you haven't spoken to during this conference. And this isn't one of those warm-up things where you have to shake hands, no. Look at someone, just make eye contact and say, I could trust this person. Someone you haven't spoken to yet. Look around, close to you hopefully. Look at someone and go, this is a person I could trust. Okay? Yeah, right room to ask this question, right? Okay. Okay, now that you've done that, forget it, because you know it's not going to work, okay? It's just absolutely not going to work. But truly, please, remember who this person was. Look at them one more time. Make the eyebrow, okay? Because you're going to need this person later on, okay? You're going to need this person later on because we're going to work together. I'm going to do several things for you. During this time, I am going to free your wildest dreams. I can do this. Okay? I'm going to free your wildest dreams. I'm going to teach you how to launch a space shuttle. I can do that too. I'm going to teach you how to become a human digital transceiver for my ham radio friends, okay? So you will be a human digital transceiver. And if we have some time at the end, we'll talk about the subject matter too, okay? So, everybody good with that? Please remember these things because sometimes I start to speak quickly. If I'm doing it too quickly or you don't understand, someone just stand up and wave, okay? That's my signal to slow down, all right? So, let's get started. I guess the first thing you need to know about me is who I am. I'm John Brick, and I am a reformed United States government employee. I now work for the private sector. Very proud to work for the private sector. Do not have ties to the United States government. And I found out that in my current job, it makes things difficult. So we'll talk a little bit about that. My former career, I was an officer in the United States Air Force. I traveled throughout the world. I did launch the space shuttle, so I do know how to teach you how to do this. And my last job before I retired from the civilian world with the US government, I was a human intelligence officer, which means that I spend my time hacking people. So how many straight technology people we have here that deal with software, with coding? Go ahead, raise your hand. This is the participation part. Okay, high-tech people, I rate straight tech. How many don't like to deal with people at all? Raise your hand. It's okay, I'm with you. After all that time, I'm with you, okay? So here's a problem. If you've ever tried to debug code, you know that it's tedious. Now imagine trying to debug code that is fighting you, okay? A human being does not like to be patched. A human being does not like to know that it's going to be replaced if it's not working correctly. Okay, it will fight you, okay? One day AI will be like this. Right now we have human beings, okay? So one of the things that we learn is that we have common problems within the tech world and the human world. And what I hope to do today, if you are a manager, I hope to make it a little more clear how the people that work in your intelligence analysis section bring the information to you that you use to make a decision. If you are intermediate supervisor, I'm hopefully going to teach you how to speak from the people at the intelligence analysis level to the executives so you can get money for your department. This is an important thing, okay? And if you're the tech person, I want you to learn a common language. When we talk about information and intelligence, people use those terms interchangeably, and this is a mistake. If I have one important lesson for you today, information and intelligence are not the same things, okay? So let's talk about that, but not until I fulfill contract item number 1. I'm going to free your wildest dreams. Is everybody ready? Remember that person you made eye contact with? You said, I can trust this person? I would like you to tell this person the following thing. If you had no restriction, If money was not an object, if embarrassment was not an object, if employment was not an object, if having a partner was not an object, what would be the one thing you would do? If you could do anything in the world, what would be the one thing? And tell that person in private what that is. Go ahead, I'll give you a minute. One thing, share it with the person you trust. It's important, remember the contract is if you want to eat lunch, you have to participate. So, please share, go ahead. What is your wildest dream if you had no restriction? And this is very important for the exercise, go ahead. See, some people are taking this seriously. Good, okay. You're good, yeah. Okay, so, how many people actually participated? Please raise your hand. Yeah, both of you. Thank you, both of you. Okay, good. Okay, was it easy to share something so internal with someone else? Probably not. Is that correct? Okay. And did it seem a little strange if they were telling you, maybe you were hearing this secret thought? Did it seem a little strange to hear that from someone you don't know? Okay, all right, yeah. Did anyone hear one that sounded really good? I mean, just like, wow, this is a great idea. Did anyone have that? Sir, would you stand up, please? My first victim, my first volunteer. Hello. Okay, so, sir, who are you and where are you from, please? Outstanding. Okay, so, the person told you their deepest dream. Go ahead and tell everyone in the room what this person's private. Go, please, share. A shepherd. Okay, good. Round of applause. Shepherd. Okay, first sharing for today. Please, have a seat. Okay, so let's think about the process we just went through. We shared with somebody that we know we're supposed to trust, but we don't really know anything about them. So, as human beings, our minds want to stop us. Second phase, now this man has this sharing in his mind, and he stands up, and I say, okay, tell us what it is, because we're all sharing. What was the first thing he did? Ooh, I don't know. Can I have permission? Yeah, he asked permission. The other person goes, yeah. No, he went, okay. He waits and thinks about it. So if we're doing that in a room with two people together, now do it with a giant corporation. Do it with a corporation where there's a staff process, where there's a legal process. That's what I deal with. I'm John Brick from the Downstream Natural Gas Information Sharing and Analysis Center in the United States. My job there is to share information between the private sector, who I work for, the United States government, like the NCIC, the US CERT, the ICS CERT. I share information with law enforcement, like the FBI, and we try to share information between companies, private sector companies. And this is a very difficult exercise. It's a difficult exercise for the reasons you've seen, for legal reasons, and just for the impact that it has on your company. If you have a breach, if you have an issue, if you have a question about malware, you may not want to share it with another company because it affects your reputation, right? Okay, so now that we know that everything is all about sharing, at the Downstream Natural Gas Information Sharing Analysis Center, I'm responsible for the gas that goes through the pipelines and to your home or to your business for the United States and for Canada. I have about 300 member companies, and in each one of those member companies, we have analysts, we have SOCs, we have the people that do the actual hard work, breaking down the malware, the information, looking at advanced persistent threats, and sending that information back and forth. We are a clearinghouse, or a place where they can send the information. I scrub that information to make it anonymous so they're comfortable sharing. And then, when it's appropriate, we send it up to the US government, who has some resources that we do not have and they can share and help us. We also share the information down to other levels of the private sector. Industrial control systems, I'm sure you know, are a unique problem. So some of the sharing is very difficult for us to accomplish because we're not talking about the same language and the same hardware and the same processes. Somehow we have to overcome all of this. So what we did was we went back to the basics and we discovered a basic language. This language that I'm going to teach you will allow you to communicate with anyone in the intelligence community. If you wanted to go to the United States and work with the NSA, you could, okay, because you're going to speak the same language. Russia has a CERT. They do the same process and language. Iran, China have CERTs. They use the same language. What we start with is data. Everyone is familiar with data in this room. For our definition, I will say data is something that either is or is not. You can get value by a lack of data, something that's not there. But data, to us in the intelligence community, is like sand on the beach. When you look at sand on the beach, there's a lot of it. What's the value of sand on the beach? Sand on the beach has almost no value. It's everywhere. And also, if you pick it up, there's really not much to it. When I take that sand, I have to add to it context. Data, millions of bits of data, have to have some kind of context. If I throw numbers at you, 1010101010, that tells you nothing, okay? But if I add context, I say, this is a signal pattern. Okay, now you know something, right? So one of the things I promised you was I'm going to make you a human digital transceiver. Is everybody ready for this exercise? Oh, this is an excited crowd. It is almost lunchtime. This is not the after lunch briefing. This is before the lunch briefing. There's going to be pastry. Okay, everybody's excited. Okay, so I have one friend, ham radio operator here. He's probably familiar. Raise your hand if you have heard of Morse code. Morse code. Keep your hand up if you know SOS, International Distress Signal. Okay, if you don't know, put your hands down. I'm about to teach you. And this comes in very handy. If you're in distress, you can use this sometime. If you're in a really long meeting and your friend is next to you, you can tap the signal on their leg, okay, and they know you need to get out of that meeting, okay? You can start to make some kind of collaboration. All right, so everyone, we're going to try to be human digital transceivers. Let's say on, off. So SOS is ... ... So everybody go with me, ... Now long, 3 times, ... Now 3 short ones, ... One more time, this is important, you'll have to remember this forever. ... Anyone did not get that pattern? Okay, so now you are digital transceivers. Here is your challenge, okay? There is a world record for people that transmit Morse code. The world record is 140 words per minute from a random message. 140 words per minute is the world record for Morse code. I am going to time you. You are going to do SOS as many times as you can until I tell you to stop. Are you ready? Everybody ready? One more practice, one more practice. Dit, 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 da, 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 dit, dit, dit. Go. Stop. Sorry, not a lot of time there, okay? If you have an intelligence platform software from 2008, that intelligence processing software can probably process about 8,000 events a second. The world's record for a human being trying to send digital information is 140 words a minute. People cannot deal with the flow of data. People can't even deal with it when it's been given some kind of backing and turned into information. We've got so much that our brains can't handle it. So we have to rely on the computers, all right? In our business, we find this is a problem because here people are talking about information and intelligence the wrong way. How many of you own a threat intelligence platform or operate one at work? Okay. Is it really processing intelligence? Is it producing intelligence? Or is it simply giving you information? If I'm given IOCs, if I'm given malware identifiers of any kind, I'm not really getting intelligence. What I'm getting is information. And if I try to use that, it doesn't do me any good. Intelligence is the end product where we take the sand, we sift it through, we get out a little bit more, we sift it through, and now we have a nugget of gold. Okay? This nugget of gold can only be produced by a human being. Until we have artificial intelligence, we do not have a process, a machine, a thing that can create intelligence. The intelligence is the finished product where my boss walks up to me and says, I saw this on the TV and it says it's a big threat. So what? And you say, I have a product that says this is so what? Because of this, it affects us in this way, and this is what we should do. I will give you two choices. And your boss is happy and he gives you a raise. Okay? So that's the end result we want. We want finished intelligence. That's also important because I can share automatically information through my threat intelligence platform that I may be paying for. You may be paying a lot of money for that, but all it's doing is sharing information. You can share information over the internet without any processing whatsoever. But when you make the intelligence report, when your company's analyst completes a report and talks to other people and puts in that basic information that allows you to make a decision, now you have that product. You can share it with your executive, and your executive says, this department is value added. I will give them money and let them continue. Or you can share it with your government, and your government will say, this private sector organization, this part of critical infrastructure is truly interested in defending what we are interested in defending. And they're sharing analysis, the finished product with us, which is very valuable. You can also share it with your friends on the other side of the ocean. Let me give you an example. Anybody ever hear of anything called WannaCry? Okay. How about a little bit later, NotPetya? Okay. NotPetya was very interesting because we had a colleague from the electric ISAC, our gas partners, was in Ukraine when NotPetya started to hit the lines. And within about an hour of it beginning, he sent a tweet, a simple tweet, and said, something is happening, it looks like this, tune in. Human intelligence. We didn't get that from a computer, we got it from another human being. Now we can put the threat intelligence tools to work, we can start to mine the social media, we can say what's happening. And what is happening? We're starting to see things fail throughout the Ukraine government. We're starting to see the hospital system is starting to fail. And because we had the indicators before it actually made it across the ocean, we warned our member companies. We gave them warnings, we looked at the indications. We added value to the indications by saying, we believe it has this name, that's what's being called in Europe. This is the effect it's having. It will cause this to your system, and these are the mitigation steps you should take. We had that out to all of our members. We put it out on LinkedIn accounts, and we put it out on tweets. We did this 3 hours before the United States government sent out their first official warning. How much value in the cyber world is 3 hours of a head start against a threat like NotPetya? Okay, so this is what I'm saying is building up, first of all, the common language, knowing the difference between data, between information, and the finished intelligence product is incredibly important. Having a network with which to share is also important. Sometimes you have to take that chance and you have to say, I don't have a relationship with this organization or this person yet, but they are colleagues because they're in my sector, by interest. Maybe we should take a chance and try to develop this network. Okay, so that worked for us in the case of NotPetya. And what I would ask is that if you are working in an industry, especially industrial control system, that you might want to think about contacting your CERT, Computer Emergency Response Team, and sharing some finished intelligence products with them. You might also, while you're speaking to that human being doing this, talk about, hey, maybe you would like to share a little bit more with us that we haven't gotten yet. Okay, because it's going to be the human connection that gets you here. Now, if I want to make a good finished intelligence product, if I'm the human being that's sitting there typing, okay, we'll call every analyst Bob, okay, just for purposes, Bob. So Bob is probably one guy, maybe two guys in your company. And Bob is probably not paid very well. And Bob is probably in an office with no windows. Okay. And Bob probably has a problem where he goes home in the evening and he kicks back to watch a football game, or he's drinking a beer, or he's out with his friend, and his pocket starts to vibrate. Raise your hand if you've ever had this happen. The phone rings, it's your boss. Your boss says, I just saw this on TV, what are we going to do? How many people liked that? Keep your hands up. No, okay. How do you fight that? You fight that by having what we call across all the intelligence world, just like the common language, an intelligence requirement. An intelligence requirement is a very specific question, and it is the basis for all of your intelligence analysis. If you do not have a big book or a document of requirements, you are probably not doing things as efficiently as you could. An intelligence requirement, to be a good intelligence requirement, must be specific. It has to be time-bound. In other words, it's not something that lasts forever. It's between this time and this time. It has to be achievable. It has to have some reliability to it. So if I'm the boss and I say, hey, Bob, I need you to give me an intelligence analysis. You go, okay. I need to know what the threats are against our company. Okay, that's kind of big, right? Okay, what could the threat be? The threat could be an advanced persistent threat. The threat could be a car careening out of control and coming through the window. The threat could be the electricity going off one day because a squirrel bites through the power line. You have no way to know that. But if I am the boss and I know intelligence requirements, or if I'm Bob and I can help my boss, I can say, okay, so here we're going to formulate an intelligence requirement, and we're going to make a list of them. You want to know what is the threat to our company. What is the threat to our company in the next week? During the World Cup playoff, what is the physical threat? Because we have crowds only 2 blocks away. What is the threat to the cyber centers? Because we have people that are trying to interfere with the infrastructure to turn off the electricity. We know about these things from studying. We know about them from our threat streams. We know about them from sharing intelligence with the other organizations. Now we will make a very formal list of questions. And Bob can answer this list of questions because he's doing it 1, 2, 3, 4. Common language. This is the process that all intelligence agencies, all developed intelligence agencies across the world use for everything. For HUMINT, for SIGINT, signals intelligence, for image intelligence, it's all the same thing. The requirement is important. So the requirement also does one more thing for you. When this boss calls you up in the middle of your football game, or this boss calls you up in the middle of your beer and says, I just saw this on television, what are we going to do about it? You can say, let's set down the requirement and we'll decide. Because you get your boss to buy off on this. You show him this is the process that's used across the world successfully, and no longer do you get that call, drop everything, and start working on this, we call it emergency du jour, okay? Whatever just happens to be on CNN. You don't have to deal with this anymore. You can go through the intelligence requirement process, and you can build this up. Okay, so we have covered so far wildest dream. We've talked about that. We have talked about the difference between data, information, and intelligence. We've talked about some of the problems that we have with sharing, why it's difficult to share with people even if you already know they are vetted, you know that they're trustworthy people, you know they're in your sector. We have talked about the intelligence requirement process. What else do I still owe you to make our contract effective? Launch the space shuttle. There's always someone. Okay. If you have a piece of paper in front of you, draw a circle this big in diameter and set it right in front of you. Okay? Ready? Just draw a circle this big, set it in front of you. This is the easiest job in the United States government. That's why I chose it. Okay. Okay, everybody has your circle. Put it on the desk in front of you. Take a look at it so you know exactly where it is. Now repeat after me. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, get ready, 5. You know where I'm going with this. It's an easy job because not only is it simple, all you have to do is count backwards from 10 and push the button. But if you lose track, there's a big clock on the wall that has the numbers. So you can, oh yeah, I'm at 4, I meant 4, and then you keep going. Okay. So we've talked about all these things. Maybe this will help you to build a process that's common across all of the intelligence communities in the entire world. Maybe it will help you to speak to your boss, and he will be proud because now he can sponsor you and he can add money to your department and help you to create better intelligence. And please, when you go back to your company, look at what you're paying for and try to find out if you're actually getting threat intelligence or threat information, and decide which one you need. Because remember, you can't act on information, you can only act on intelligence. Okay, I think I've covered everything. I saw the 15 come up, which means we've got time for questions and we might get out early for lunch. Yes? Okay. Any questions? Best crowd ever. Okay, lunch. No, really. Anyone?
First of all, let me thank you that you managed without any slides and everything for the lively talk. Questions from the crowd? We have many more minutes, so we can fill in some.
Yes.
Hi, thank you very much for your talk. You said that before you switched into the private sector, you worked with the US government and worked with human intelligence.
Yep.
In your experience, the data you get from humans versus the data you get from like technical sources, which tends to be of higher quality by default? I know it's a kind of a difficult question, and it's okay if you can't answer that.
I can answer that. And this is a good question. I can have all the technical equipment and collection capability in the world. If I had that magic stick that would collect all threats from everything and bring it to me, and I could look at it on one big screen, this is the world of threats, and now I know everything. All I know is what's happening in the past and up till right now. And remember, we don't want to be in a position where we are reactive. We want to be proactive. We want to be ahead of the threat. So how do I do that? I have to talk to a human being. I have to hack a human being because the human being knows the intent. What am I going? I'm an advanced persistent threat. What is my target? What will I do in the future? Why do I want to do it? How will I target things? And if I'm talking to human beings, I can get this intent, the future position of what's going to happen. Okay? Is it reliable? Second part of your question. Sometimes. Okay, I will say it depends, and that's a question that it covers almost all cyber situations. It depends. You can do it based on knowing a person. You can do it based on the person's position. You can do it on past performance, but that's no guarantee of future performance. It becomes a skill and an art where you learn the indications, like you know when your system is about to break because you get certain log items that start to appear. When you speak with a person, you start to see certain indications also that say, maybe this information is not as reliable, maybe they are trying to mislead me, or maybe they don't know, and this is often the case, a human being does not know but wants to appear valuable, so tries to add information or to make the information bigger. Okay? So the process requires art, the process requires practice, and the process requires understanding that human beings are buggy. And even when they try to do the right thing, sometimes they make mistakes.
Further questions?
Very quiet
Then
crowd.
we will have plenty of time until lunch, and I guess you will be available at lunch for further questions or discussions.
I will, if anyone would like to speak, sure. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.